Happy Friday, my sweet darlings. Today we're going to read a new to us book. Is called The Princess Knight. It was written by Cornelia Funke and was illustrated by Kerstin Meyer. And they are both authors and illustrators from Germany. So the book has been translated, but it should make sense to us. The Princess Knight. King Wilfrid the Worthy had 3 sons. He brought them up just as his father had brought him up, and they were all taught the things that he had been taught. They learned riding and jousting, fighting with swords, and good table manners. They learned how to stride around proudly and how to shout very loudly. And, most important for princes, they learned how to give orders to their nursemaids, their servants, their dogs, and their horses. Then Queen Violetta had a daughter, but died when the baby was born. No one would dare tell the king how to do anything, especially how to raise his little girl. So he called her Violetta and decided to teach her the same lessons that he had taught his sons. Even though she was so small that she could hardly lift a sword at all. Her brothers teased her and called her names. Itsy bitsy little Vi, teeny titch can't hurt a fly. And they would boast, that means brag, that they could dig their spurs into a horse so hard that even the most spirited steed would obey them. And a spur is a little pokey bit on the back of a shoe. Let me see, is there a picture of them? It's right here. Cowboys have them on their boots. They dig them into a horse. It's not very nice. It hurts the horse, but it kind of gets them to listen to you. Then they would strike the heads off the practice dummies so hard that they would fly over the castle walls. And they would laugh and laugh at their little sister as she struggled to mount a horse in her heavy armor, as if it was the funniest thing that they had ever seen. Not very nice to her. "Oh, Emma," said Violetta to her maid one evening, when Emma was soothing her poor bruises, "I'll never be as strong as my brothers." "Not as strong, maybe, but you are 3 times as clever," said Emma sensibly. "Why not ask your father to let you stop all this silly fighting and learn something else? Embroidery, perhaps, or weaving, or playing the flute. Something really useful?" But Violetta shook her head. "No, no, no," she said. "That would only make my brothers laugh louder." So Emma said no more, for she knew her princess was more determined than all 3 princes put together. From that night onwards, Violetta slipped out of the castle in secret, while the rose gardener's son kept watch for her. She started to practice all the things her brothers could already do so much better. Violetta practiced them in her own way, without shouting and without using without using her spurs. She was very quiet about it, as quiet as the night itself. So, while her brothers grew as tall and as strong as King Wilfrid's knights, Violetta got better at fighting and riding every day, and her father's horses loved to carry her on their backs, probably because she wasn't hurting them with her spurs. Violetta was so nimble and quick that when the 3 brothers practiced jousting with her, their spears and swords just hit the empty air, and the princes soon stopped laughing at her and calling her itsy bitsy little Vi. Then came the day before her 16th birthday, and the king asked to see her. Violetta, said King Wilfred, I am going to hold a tournament in honor of your birthday. The victory prize will bring the bravest knights in the land flocking to the castle. What will the prize be, father? Asked Violetta, wondering which horse to ride and which of her suits of armor would be the lightest, and which plume to wear in her helmet. That means the feathers that go in a knight's helmet. The prize, said King Wilfred, will be your hand in marriage. So put on your finest gown and practice your prettiest smile. Do you think that's what she's expecting? I don't think so. Violetta went as red as the poppies beside the castle moat. What? She cried. You want me to marry some guy in a tin suit? Just look at your own knights. They whip their horses, and they're not smart enough to write their own names. Her father was so angry that he locked her up in the castle tower with the rats and the bats, and not until the moon was shining high in the sky did he tell Violetta's youngest brother to let her out. Stop crying, little sister, said Violetta's brother. I'm going to win the tournament, and you can't marry me. But Violetta shook her head and wiped her eyes on the hem of her dress. Thank you, she said, but I think I'd better just see to it myself. What do you think she's planning? The next day was Violetta's birthday. The field behind the castle was crowded with knights who would come to fight in the tournament. King Wilfred sat down to watch. Little did he know that it wasn't Violetta sitting next to him. It was her maid, Emma, wearing Violetta's best dress and with a veil drawn over her face. The real Violetta put on her blackest armor and saddled her favorite horse. She rode into the arena with the other knights and gave her title as Sir No Name. Fanfare sounded, and the tournament to win the princess's hand began. Knight after knight rode into the arena, Sigurd the Strong, Harold the Hardy, Percy the Pitiless. But Sir No Name defeated them all. He even knocked the king's sons off their horses and into the dust. In the end, there was no one left willing to fight, and Sir No Name rode over to the king to receive the victor's wreath. That's like the wreath they give the champion. Do you remember who Sir No Name is? Where do you come from, Sir No Name? Asked the king. You have brought honor to your family, and my daughter should think herself lucky to take your hand in marriage. Oh, I don't think so, the knight replied, raising his helmet. Hello, father, said Violetta. What's the prize for the princess knight? And for once in his life, her father, the king, was speechless. Violetta turned to the vanquished knights, that means the ones she defeated, sitting battered and bruised on their horses. Very well, I shall choose my own prize, she said. I hereby proclaim that no one will ever win Princess Violetta's hand in marriage without first defeating Sir No Name. And she turned on her horse and rode away, far, far away, and she didn't return for a year and a day. And when she did, why, her father, King Wilfred the Worthy, gave her a horse as black as her armor, and nobody, not even her brothers, challenged the princess ever again. And who did she marry? Well, if you must know, many, many years later, she married the rose gardener's son, and they lived happily ever after. And that is the end of the Princess Night. And that is the end of our week. I can't believe it. It's flying by. All right, sweet peas. There will be no book on Monday because Monday is Memorial Day. It is a holiday. So your next book will be on Tuesday. All right, sweet peas. I hope you have a wonderful 3-day weekend. I can't wait to see you soon and to talk to you. See you later, alligators. Bye, my friends.